Unlike most day one tech reviews, this one takes place after nearly half a year of usage. I got my first Vader 5S so long ago that it's actually changed its physical appearance, so you know this review means fucking business.
Business, nigga.
This may just be the best Xbox controller for the money. At $60, it features adjustable tension Hall effect thumbsticks, and that feature alone makes it worth the money. Combine that with 6 additional buttons laid out in pairs at various points on the controller, clicky face buttons, adjustable clicky triggers, software, a 10-foot braided cable, and an RGB strip, and you have something approaching the realm of unbeatable. I didn't fucking write that. And while this version of the Vader 5 is a wired experience, Flydigi does aim to provide us with a wireless Xbox experience, which I'm sure won't turn into a shit show like it has for every other third-party wireless Xbox controller. Speaking of third-party Xbox controllers, the Vader 5S has a very similar feature set to what many see as the king of Xbox Pro controllers currently. Can the Flydigi Vader 5S beat the illustrious Gameser G7 Pro for $20 cheaper in its current state? Yes. Maybe, we'll see later in today's video as well as another video after this. So like if you like it, sub if you love it, let's do it. Our quest begins at the stick with these adjustable tension, anti-stick drift, Hall effect thumbsticks. Holy shit. What a title that is. But it accurately describes what's featured in the Vader 5S. Flydigi has made yet another iteration of their lever action stick. I believe it's the 4th, and this is, in my opinion, one of the most interesting sticks on the market for its incredibly innovative design, which allows for easy replacement as well as very easy adjustable tension, and all of it requires no solder, aside from the sensors, which are soldered onto the board. These aren't like the Series 2 core with 3 different stages of tension. This has gradual tension adjustment. It's kind of like a volume dial where you just
turn it up and rip the knob off. Peter, no!
And they added what everybody was waiting for, a ratcheting mechanism for the thumbstick fina-fucking-ly. Take a listen to what the Vader 5 Pro should sound like. The thumbstick rotations are silky smooth, the thumbstick caps are incredibly comfortable, and the tension adjustment can be done on the fly in a millisecond. These thumbsticks really are separate from the rest, and they truly are something new for the Xbox platform, but people will inevitably say they're Hall effect and they're not TMR, so they're trash, and I would say fuck that. I'll take adjustable tension Hall effect sticks over static tension TMR sticks any day of the week.
You ready to apologize?
What? Fuck you! Let's go!
And not to worry, a Hall effect does take 1 or 2 losses, and I will never let anyone off the hook. My sticks occasionally get digital drift. Yes, the digital reliability is somewhat weary. One of the sticks will randomly point in a direction, usually right stick will point in a direction, and just stick there until I unplug and plug the controller back in, and this has happened on 3 separate Flydigi Vader 5S controllers, so I'm fairly positive it's some type of firmware bug. The teardown of the sticks was a breeze. I just kind of smacked them up a little bit and they fell apart. But this also revealed that the thumbsticks need buckets of grease in order to function properly, which hopefully isn't a long-term issue. Overall, the sticks are good. Like everything else, there is some room for improvement though. To assist you in using these sticks, there are 4 additional buttons, 2 on the front and 2 on the underside. Of course, this 2 buttons on the front, 2 buttons underneath, Wolverine Tournament Edition special bullshit has kind of been really hot lately, but I personally would prefer 4 rear inputs because the fingers on the front of the controller are always doing something, the fingers underneath are not. But if they did that, if they gave us the 2 paddles the Vader 5 Pro have, then this $60 price point this controller's offered at would be really uncomfortable. I love the front buttons, and the rear buttons are basic as hell, have great placement, and they're easy to use like your mother. What's not so easy to use are C and Z, the final 2 buttons in this 6 additional buttons. Bullshit. This is bullshit. Where the fuck are they?
Where? Right there. Where, bitch?
These, I'm just gonna say this, and I know some people are gonna disagree with me on this. These simply aren't useful. They are further out of the way than ABXY. They are less comfortable to get to than ABXY. I thought the purpose of additional buttons was purely to make sure you keep your thumbs on the thumbsticks. Yeah, let me go into Call of Duty and make this button my swap firing mode real quick. Hold on, bruv. Let me traverse the miles and miles of distance I need to get to in order to press this button so I can swap firing modes before I start aiming at you. What the fuck is this? Rear buttons, additional buttons, period, are like 65% of the value of a Pro controller, and you need to put them in places that are a little more usable. Although it is kind of cool. It's kind of like the old Xbox controller. And it's not a big deal to me, but it will be to some people. None of these buttons click in any way. The clickiness is reserved for the adjustable clicky triggers, the ABXY buttons, and the D-pad. And of course, they all sound and feel exactly as you'd want them to. At $60, I believe this is one of, if not maybe the cheapest Xbox controller with adjustable clicky triggers. Don't quote me on that, I could be wrong. Regardless, huge advantage over more expensive controllers. They are very short, they're very sweet, and they use some bitchin' switches. So I'll leave it there, 10 out of 10. Clicky ABXY, however, polar opposite. These are garbage. These bounce like hell.
What is this, dealer? Taking a piss.
Flydigi usually has the Clicky ABXY advantage over other manufacturers, but this time it seems the faceplate doesn't really fit these ABXY buttons, causing a Toyota Yaris-like effect. On the other side of the globe, we have the Clicky D-pad, which was featured in other recently released Flydigi controllers. It's square, it's really floaty, but overall, the Clicky faceplate has basically been the same since the Vader 3 Pro, and I'm done with it there. The more interesting tale lies in how fast all of this hardware is, and to do that, we'll be doing drag strip pulls using Prometheus 82, a tester made by John Punch, with details linked in the description. Due to the Vader 5S being an Xbox controller, it is locked at 250 Hz, and the software, even on PC, does not allow you to upgrade that in any way. And because of that, I am only going to do testing in 250 Hz. I'm not going to force an overclock. Especially because I think it's particularly important for this type of response time test, where, wired on 250 Hz, the buttons got 6 milliseconds, and the thumbsticks got an absolutely fucking atrocious 20. Absolute ass dragger. The thumbsticks don't feel that way when you're playing with them, but I do have to be honest. Flydigi does work with John Punch and the Prometheus 82 tester. I'm currently using the tester that Flydigi literally fucking uses with their controllers. How has this gotten past you guys? Again, a firmware update can probably fix that, but that seems to be, the second time that issue's occurred where maybe a firmware update or two could have fixed this problem. Maybe it should have waited. Or maybe the thumbstick response time is due to Flydigi having all of those thumbstick settings that are available to the Vader 5 Pro on PC. They're not available to the Vader 5S, but they could actually be enabled behind the scenes in the settings and enabling a bunch of extra delay. Whatever the case is, I prefer you fix it because I just bitched about the G7 Pro having a 15 millisecond response time on the thumbsticks wireless. This is wired and it's slower. I feel Flydigi isn't going to let that fly for very long, so I'll keep you guys updated in the comment section. They did listen with on-the-fly features, which we finally got. Dude, you couldn't do shit with other Flydigi controllers. You always had to dick around in some software called Space Station to inevitably not accomplish what you wanted to do. And the software on this controller is just as fucking terrible, but in a minute. You don't need to use that shit to do any of the cool things on this controller. You can remap your buttons, you can change the trigger dead zones, you can also change the thumbstick dead zones, although I was only able to do it for one thumbstick at a time. Again, I don't know if that's pre-release jank or not. Here is what the manual says you can do on the fly. There's a couple of other things you can do, like volume adjustment and this, that, and the other. And under some features, it tells you that further customization can be made using... what does that say?
Son of a fuck.
The Space Station software is available for Xbox and PC on the Microsoft Store. Both the store and the app are completely fucking garbage. Making a controller app and putting it on the Microsoft Store is like taking dry ice and putting it in a pop bottle, like a 2-liter pop bottle. Once combined, everybody in the vicinity should run away. The Microsoft Store hosts every single buggy piece of shit software on Earth, and sadly, I hate to report, this one is no different. This app is also trash juice. Just like with other Flydigi controllers of the past, changing your settings happens by random chance. I have to change my RGB settings 7 times and repeatedly click on options over and over again for them to eventually pop up. I also took this clip while making this video script, so enjoy this. Prepare yourself for this dumb shit. So I have the app open, right? The controller is plugged in, but it's not on right now. So let's turn the controller on, right? So the RGB lights are on, and let's see what the app does, right? Aha! So now, My Little Pony Band-Aid, we're going to close the app and open it back up. And as you guys can see, the controller's plugged in, and look at that. Now the app works perfectly fine. This is the biggest crock of bullshit ever. The average controller software experience is shitware. It's always. On top of this, Flydigi has had a ton of bricked Vader 5 Pro reports after getting firmware updates from the Space Station 4.0 software, which is different from the software for this controller, but I still worry about it, even though I do currently have 3 up-to-date Flydigi Vader 5S controllers, and not a single one of them is bricked yet. I'm realizing now that I haven't actually talked about the features in the app much, because they're very basic and I've gone over them a million times. I'll put them on the screen now. There'll probably be a tutorial or something that I'm speeding through. Whoop-de-doo-wee. Now let's move the fuck on. I feel like this video is rather quick. And this controller does not have it doesn't have like a ton going on, but a full video comparing it and the Gamester G7 Pro is on the way. So I'm going to keep today's statements short and sweet. So when it comes to Xbox over there, the G7 Pro and Vader 5S are way too similar. They have access to most of the same features. They're both wired on Xbox. So paying an extra $20 for a controller that also has dog shit software. It also has its own reliability issues. The G7 Pro triggers are just as unreliable as the Flydigi Vader 5 Pro's existence. I need to look into that one too, which is going to be painful. The biggest thing for me is the adjustable tension Hall effect thumbsticks. That is the biggest difference between both controllers. Do you want anti-stick drift thumbsticks that have adjustable tension and can mold to your playstyle a little bit better? Or do you want ones that have a much better response time and slightly better performance? So I would choose a Flydigi Vader 5S every day, all day, over the Gamester G7 Pro. If its thumbstick response time gets fixed with a firmware update. If that digital stick drift I occasionally get, that I'm really hoping I can get on footage because I haven't actually been able to yet, if that gets fixed, then it'll be okay. I think the message with the Vader 5S is clear. Flydigi made, like, hands down, the greatest Xbox controller for the money, and needed 2 additional months to be able to figure out a couple of firmware bugs. Like, I guarantee this controller is going to be wonderful in a little while, but I also guarantee that right now some people are going to have problems with it. Just like the G7 Pro had problems, just like the Vader 5 Pro has had a lot of problems, mysteriously. And I have no problem labeling this the best, as long as it ends up maintaining a decent rating on the fucking retail websites that it ends up on. And it maintains that decent rating because people aren't bitching about it dying from random things. Flydigi better pray, because if it does, I'm going to come back with a vengeance. Oh, please God, don't be bad. These issues that the Vader 5S has provide a lot of ground for the Gamester G7 to swoop in and steal away customers. I think for PC and Xbox, this is the most interesting set of controllers. I have to do a bunch of separate shit with PlayStation because they're off in their own little world, but that's for another time. I am sorry that it seems like there's no conclusion to this video, but that kind of is the conclusion because I don't know if you guys know this. I mean, I do because I'm a controller nerd, but it seems like the Vader 5S exists purely despite the G7 Pro. It's $20 cheaper and has a very similar feature set. They're certainly not aiming at Baitong. But hey, that's just a theory. A gay theory. Thank you guys so much for watching. If the Vader 5S ends up problematic, I shit you not, I will be back so fucking fast it will not even be funny. And there are more projects to come. I told you guys that there was a resurgence happening. It's happening. It's happening. Everybody stay calm. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. My outro got claimed again, but it's fine because it's like 6 years old and I need to make a new one anyways. Let me know what you want to see next. Do you want to see the Apex? Do you want to see the thing? You want to see the thing? You want to see the one with the bing bang? I'm fucking out, children. Don't disappoint me, Flydigi. I'm very worried about this controller coming back to bite me in the ass. The Vader 5? That's just a sad story this year. I have to go edit. Fuck it. Peace.